You know, for today's update, I want to do something a little bit differently. I think I'd be grossly remiss were I not to address something that has really sort of come to the forefront in recent days. I'm specifically speaking of the political correctness with which this nation is enveloped in, and to its own peril, as evidenced by the Fort Hood terrorist. Did I just call that an act of terrorism? You betcha. It's interesting how Lindsay in the Bible Prophecy Today blog yesterday had a commentary, correct or politically correct. He had this to say. Last week's massacre at Fort Hood, Texas by an Army psychiatrist who is a Muslim may finally expose the almost stupefying adherence to political correctness by big media, our government, and the left. The levels to which they're willing to sink to be politically correct is almost mind-boggling. What's more, it's insidious and deadly. For years, I've thought that America's decline in the last days may be caused by economic excess, failures, or catastrophe, but now I'm beginning to think that America's inevitable decline may well be caused by the millstone now firmly affixed around our neck, political correctness. We have already forgotten a great lesson from our own recent history. It's more important to be correct than politically correct. The Bible warns that a nation that has been given great light from God and rejects it will be given a mind by God that cannot even think in its own best interest. That's a perfect definition of political correctness, and that's what's happening in America right now. This was an interesting article from a secular news source, the Daily Cougar. The title being Politically Correct Kills 13. On Thursday, Major Nidal Malik Hassan allegedly carried out the second deadliest Islamic terrorist attack on American soil since September 11th. Leaving 13 dead and 29 wounded, authorities said Hassan screamed, Allahu Akbar, which means Allah is greater. Not Allah is great, Allah is greater. That changes the whole complexion of this battle or war cry by Muslims. Because see, when you say greater, the implication is you're greater than another God, namely the true and living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And it's interesting that Lucifer himself said, I will ascend my throne, Akbar, greater, not great. I will become greater than the true and living God, or the Most High God. The article goes on to say that as he screamed Allahu Akbar before he commenced his deadly assaults, with all this evidence, it points to his radical Islamic beliefs. This is a secular news source, calling it like it is. His radical Islamic beliefs as a motive. Why are we trying to sugarcoat his intent? Given the warning signs that brought Hassan to the FBI's attention, why was he not thoroughly investigated? The answer? It's that to investigate someone like Hassan in this current national climate would be politically unacceptable. Any in-depth investigation could have incurred a lawsuit and discrimination charges, something our political correctness tries to avoid at all costs. Perhaps I can say it this way. What being politically correct tries to avoid at all costs, in the end, will cost all. I believe that under the banner of political correctness, evil is being called good, and good is being called evil. And this, to me, is what the prophet Isaiah said would happen. And God, through the prophet Isaiah, pronounced a curse on all those who would do this, namely be politically correct. It's found in the 5th chapter of the book of Isaiah. You're certainly welcome to turn there if you wish. This in the King James Version, Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20. Woe unto them. Now, you have to understand in the Bible, when you see woe, it's not like, whoa. That was more for the benefit of you young people. In the King James language, woe is a curse. You could, in fact, switch that word woe and replace it with cursed be them that call evil good and good evil, and put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. There will be a curse that will come upon them that do this. I believe that we have been the recipients in this nation of a curse because we have rejected God. When you reject the truth, you are opening yourself up to the demonic, satanic lie from the father of lies that says evil is good and good is evil, and it comes vis-a-vis being politically correct. I'm going to go on record, and I know that in some circles this could get me shot, especially as an Arab saying this. Islam is evil. It is not a peace-loving religion. It is a religion of evil. It is a religion of hate. There are over 120 verses in the Quran that incite and command the Muslim to kill the infidel. Who's the infidel? That's right. Raise your hand. You infidel! If you're a Jew, if you're a Christian, you are the infidel. You are the enemy. You know, Israel is the little Satan according to Islam. And the United States of America, we're the great Satan. You know, it's interesting to me. The prophet Isaiah says that evil will be called good, good will be called evil. It's really twisting it, even perverting it, and turning it backwards. And isn't it ironic that the word evil, E-V-I-L, is a twisting, a perverting, a turning of live, L-I-V-E? I think it's interesting. I think it's sad, and I think it's serious that we are on the cusp of what could be the ultimate demise of this once great nation founded by men and women of God who fear God. I think that political correctness has come at the expense of biblical correctness, and evil being called good and good being called evil will in fact fulfill what the prophets of old foretold would take place in the last days. Let me take a step further. Do you realize that as Christians, as believers, that we're the enemy? We're the problem? We're the problem. No, there's no problem calling us evil, narrow-minded, intolerant, in the way. Did you know that you're in the way? You're the problem. See, it's your fault as a Christian. See, the problem is, for them, that as Christians, we believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the